Hello, everyone. My name is Dan Davis, and I just want to say thank you to everyone who is joining us through Zoom and through Facebook. We really appreciate you taking the time out of your busy day to join us for this interview with Congressman Pete Olson. I want to thank the Brazoria County Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, as well as the young professionals, for coordinating and setting up this event. As I mentioned, my name is Dan Davis, and just to introduce you to myself, I live in Manvel, Texas. I am on the City of Manvel City Council Position 3. I've been married for over 8 years to my amazing wife, Erica, and we have two just incredible kids, ages 6 and 4. The other moderator today with myself is Councilman Luke Orlando for the City of Pearland. I'll have him introduce himself in a minute, as well as our special guest, the Congressman. But first, I want to invite Gina, who is the President and CEO of the Brazoria County Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, just to say a few words. So, Gina.
Thank you, Luke, and thank you, Dan, for doing this for us. First of all, Congressman, I would like to express a huge thank you for your service to the constituents here in Texas. And we appreciate you for being a champion of our causes and always being willing to address our issues of the Hispanic community.
Gracias, amiga.
And thank you for being a jobs creator and a friend to the Hispanic small businesses here in Texas. Congressman, we want to wish you well in this next chapter of your life.
Thank you. Dios. Sí. Muchas gracias, mi amiga.
Okay, Dan.
All right, so Luke, if you can introduce yourself and the Congressman, and then we'll jump right into it. Oh, Luke, we're not able to hear you there.
There you go.
No, it looks like it's saying your phone audio is disconnected.
How about now?
There we go.
Hey!
There he is.
You would think at this point we all have the hang of Zoom by now, but I guess not. But thank you for bearing with me. My name is Luke Orlando. I'm a councilman for the City of Pearland, Position 1, that I've been proud to represent since summer. So honored to be here with you guys today and with Congressman Olson. For those of you who who don't know about Congressman Olson yet, you've been missing out, but I will give you a quick rundown. Congressman Olson has represented CD 22 in Congress since his election in 2009. He studied computer science at Rice, and then he studied law at the University of Texas at Austin, so a big hook'em there. Afterwards, he joined the United States Navy, where he quickly became a naval aviator and then served for 9 years. After that, coming back to the U.S. after a stint as a liaison to U.S. Congress, he served our Texas Senators Phil Gramm and then John Cornyn.
Yeah.
So really, so both sides of the college football aisle there, but definitely a life devoted to service. After his work for those senators, he ran in his own right again back in 2009. Where he's proudly served Congressional District 22, including currently on the Energy and Commerce Committee, something important for our conversation today with the Brazoria County Hispanic Chamber, and also the Science, Space, and Technology Committee. So, Congressman Olson's a man who's truly dedicated his life to service, and I'm so happy to have the chance to talk to him today. And Congressman, thanks so much for joining us.
It's my honor and pleasure. And thank you guys for being examples of what makes Texas and Fort Bend County and Brazoria County so great. Thank you. Young men and women get involved in their cities, their communities. So you're the example. And thanks for the example. You allow me to brag all the time in DC about my Texas people, how hard working they are, how they care about each other, how great they were during Hurricane Harvey, how well we're doing despite the struggles with the COVID-19 crisis. So I'm thrilled to be here with the great Hispanic Chamber of Brazoria County.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for joining us. We have a few questions prepared here, Congressman. I'm going to just jump right in on a topic that affects a lot of people in our community, both business owners and workers who are affected by this, and that is DACA. And so, as of course you're aware, the Supreme Court recently blocked the current efforts to end DACA, which many of our viewers will know is the policy that provides work eligibility and some other protections for undocumented immigrants brought to the U.S. as minors. But still, with that, the fate of the program is really uncertain. So what we wanted to ask you today is, what action do you think Congress should take to clarify the status of the roughly 700,000 DACA recipients in the U.S. who are kind of in a state of limbo? And of course, many of those people are right here in CD 22.
Luke, thanks for starting out with the easy pitches. That's guys, this is a very important issue and a very issue that'll take some time to correct or get something done. We all remember the last time immigration reform comprehensive was done was 1986 when Ronald Reagan was our president. That's over 40 years since it's been touched with any effort to try to correct this problem. It's a big problem. You mentioned the Supreme Court blocked the administration's attempt to end DACA. To the administration's credit, they came back and they allowed it, but it wasn't what it was before. Before it was 2 years, and now it's 1 year. And they're also trying to stop the practice of advanced parole to DACA kids. We all know these kids came here, most of them without any fault of their own. They came with their parents, looking for either jobs, good schools, or a safe place to raise their kids and go to school. And so we should welcome these kids. Now, I think my personal view is we should give them legal status, not citizenship, but legal status. Take out the fear of being deported. I've talked to DACA parents and kids before, and they live in terror going down. If they're taking their son or daughter to school and they see a police officer, maybe a local sheriff, they'll get off the road or go somewhere, because if they missed a brake light, a tail light, something's wrong with their car, they get pulled over, they may be deported. And they have done nothing wrong here in America. No crimes, no drugs, nothing, but good parents, good families. We should encourage that. I think that means legal status. Now, citizenship's a whole different issue. And we have a way to do that right now. It's a long, long line. We should not let people cut that line, but if we want to get there, come there, get there, but stay here with legal status. And Reagan's effort tried to do that, but again, it blew up. And because it blew up and things have happened since then, we haven't been able to have the courage to actually tackle it. George W. Bush tried to, but my party blocked him in the House before I got there. President Obama has done his best. I mean, he had you guys remember he had an executive order that he put out on June 15th, which delayed deportation hearings for kids who came here without documents. That all got up and running in August 15th of 2012, and but he couldn't expand it any further. He was asked by a kid, a young Hispanic woman, at a town hall in Washington, D.C., at Univision Town Hall at Bell Multicultural High School, if he could, this is kind of the same side of the coin, if he could extend temporary protective status to these kids so they can stay here without fear of being deported. And he basically said, I want to quote, he said, there are enough laws in the books by Congress that are very clear in terms of how we have to enforce immigration system that for me to simply through executive order ignore those congressional mandates would not conform to my appropriate role as president. What President Obama said, what President Reagan did was, this is not yours to correct. This is ours in Congress. And I'm hoping that sane minds will come together. I'll probably leave before this happens for sure, but realize these kids have done nothing wrong. They contribute. Their parents contribute. Find a way to let them stay legally and worry about being a citizen long down the road, because again, they don't come here to vote. They come here for jobs, schools, and safe neighborhoods.
Thank you, Congressman. Appreciate that answer.
And Luke had mentioned that this is something, DACA is something that impacts citizens and businesses and really the entire United States, and something that we've seen impact the entire world, especially Brazoria County and CD 22 has been the coronavirus. People have different names for it, of course, and it continues to inflict damage on people's health, on the economy, on jobs, on just everybody's day-to-day life. Lots of kids are starting to go back to school over the next few weeks. And you can see behind me, my wife and I, we homeschool our kids. So we've got all the setup back there. But kids are going back to school, and it's an uncertain future. Their states and local governments are facing significant budget cuts. And recently, over the weekend, the president released a few executive orders in regards to extending some of the unemployment benefits, payroll tax cuts, forbearance on different loans and evictions. And we just wanted to hear from you a little bit. What do you see Congress, and do you see Congress taking any action over the next few weeks and few months in regards to taking additional steps to help businesses and individuals during this extremely trying time?
Well, the second question is very easy as well. Thank you, guys. Throw a bunch of softballs up to me. We passed 4 bills in Congress, in the House right now, to address the COVID-19 crisis. The first one was passed, I think it would have been late March. That was basically a stopgap to get through the crisis, give the first responders what they need. The second one was for schools and families. The third, the big one, was called the CARES Act. And that authorized almost trillions of dollars to go to local businesses through the PPP, the Payroll Protection Program, to keep going, get through this crisis. That program's been great. And I've got a lot of show and tell for you. A member of Gina's chamber, a star, whose address is Brazoria, Texas, but she's probably closer to Arcola, Fresno, right down to Highway 6. This is Nana's Tortilla Factory. And I went down, I've met her about 4 years ago. Go down there when I can and get one of her breakfast tacos, the best ones in all of Texas, my friends, the best by far. And she said she got some DACA money, not some DACA money, she got some of the PPP money. She's paid it back, but she said, it's still an issue. We have to have more support in the future from the state, from maybe the county, and from the federal government, because she's not through. Now, she said it's much better when she opened, because when she opened, she said, nobody knew me. But today, guess what? People know her project. She's part of Brazoria Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. So she's got a bunch of allies behind her fighting. We had a breakdown. You mentioned the President's executive orders, the 4 signed this past week. That was because there's a breakdown between the House and Senate moving forward. We're talking about anywhere from $1 trillion to, I've heard, up to $4 trillion. My concern, as the bill the House passed that did not pass the Senate yet, called I'm drawing a blank on the acronym for it, not the CARES Act, but it didn't pass. It passed the House. I voted against it because it missed a target in many cases. It didn't focus on the jobs and the economy and getting people through this crisis. It was more political stuff, something about elections. That's down the road. There's issues there for darn sure. I'm not saying there are no issues, but let's focus on Nana and keeping her, all those businesses like her, up and thriving. And again, the PPP's been very successful. There's still money out there, but I understand it expired to actually apply for that. That's something to look at. But please, 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 through Gina, through Luke, and through you, Dan, let me know what people back home say, because it's a work in progress still. We know something's got to be done, and something will be done. But right now, there's a logjam between Congress. Surprise, 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 between the parties, and nothing happened. It needs to happen. We're still not through this crisis yet. We're making progress. We've got a long way to go until we can go back to what life was in January of this year, I'm sorry.
Yep, absolutely. We're all in this together, and it's going to take all of us supporting each other, supporting businesses, families, communities. Your office has been fantastic with that. I know Gina and her team at the chamber as well. And we appreciate all that you guys have been doing for our community. And yes, go see Donna's Tortilla Factory if you can swing by.
Nanas. N-A-N-A, Nanas.
Anna's. Okay, Anna's. So you got to go check it out.
I will be checking that out. Congressman, moving on with this, as we talk about these programs that have been allocating a large amount of federal money to states and municipalities, that might be a good segue into what we wanted to talk about next, which is the census. CD22, Fort Bend County, Northern Brazoria County has actually been really strong in its response to the census, which we're all very happy about up here, but there's still many households that have not submitted their required response. So we just wanted to know from you any insight that you have as someone who helps make these decisions at a federal level and allocates so many funds based on these population figures. Can you speak to those in the community who maybe haven't got around to filling this out yet as we wrap up this process about how important it is that everyone fill out the census before the upcoming deadline?
Amen. Thank you, Luke. Getting back to the previous question, it popped in my mind here. The act that did the pass House but did not go to the Senate was called the, let me get it here, the HEROES Act. HEROES Act.
Yeah.
And that was one, I'm sorry, I forgot the act. I keep wanting to say CARES, and CARES, the big enchilada, so to speak.
Alphabet soup.
Luke, the census, great question. Per the Constitution, every decade, we do a census. And please, 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 if you haven't done it, get online. You can online, you call it, write in, whatever. I did online. It took less than 10 minutes. There's some rumors about questions that are not nice or trying to get some ethnic group pulled out. I saw none of that. It was, who are you? Are you married? What's his or her name? Do you have kids? What are their names? Where do you live? What's your address? What's your income range? That was it. But this is so important because lots of federal funding is done on formulas based on population. So if we don't get accurate count of people living in Texas, we'll lose money that we've been going to Vermont or California or South Carolina. That's our taxpayer dollars. They should stay right here in Texas. Oh, by the way, at my world, guess what gets us through members of Congress, new districts, the census. We picked up 4 new seats in 2010. Other states, the most, 2. We doubled. Why? Because of Gina. In businesses, people were coming here because, hey, I have great public schools, great quality of life. I buy a big home for a cheap price, and I have a community that supports my business. They're still coming in droves. We're thinking we may pick up 2 to 3 more, probably 3 with this census, again, lead the country. But I got another little show and tell. You can see our map, as Luke said, we're doing pretty well. The dark blue, you can see the dark blue there, those are the counties that are way above. They're about 7% or more. You see our counties, Fort Bend, Brazoria, and Harris County, are doing pretty well. The parts that are orange and yellow, they're way behind the curve, way undercounted. So you know, anybody in West Texas, just tell them, it's real simple. Fill out the census. Make sure your taxpayer dollars you spend come back to you. Don't have those things go to somebody up there in Idaho or our neighbors in Louisiana. Love them. But crazy Cajuns, nah, we'll keep that money in Texas as opposed to the Cajuns having it. So please fill out the census. It's real simple. Get online. It takes 10 minutes. It's not something that's going to have some little spring traps that's some bad information. It's just basic, married, names, occupation. Not occupation, but wealth range.
Thank you, Congressman. And yeah, we are all pushing that as well. So we appreciate the extra push from you.
Again, guys, look, we're leading. It's amazing. Fort Bend is leading in the whole state, over 71%. Brazoria is right behind, approaching 60%. So we're doing a great job compared to the whole state. But come on, guys, get going here. Help us out. Keep that money here.
We have to have a little friendly competition there. Every once in a while, I'll go in and I'll check to see how Manvel is comparing to places like Pearland or Alvin or Iowa Colony. And Pearland just always is ahead of us. We just can't seem to catch up with them. But I think we will. I think we'll catch up to them there. So Congressman, earlier you mentioned, and I think it's all too familiar to all of us, especially you with your service in Congress, is the breakdown. Not only the breakdown between the 2 houses, but also the breakdown between parties. And one of the hot topics that's been discussed, I think in all spheres of life lately, has been regarding police reform. And Senator Tim Scott recently introduced in the Senate, it was called the Justice Act. And it failed to reach the threshold to even have a floor debate regarding the act. And this leads to suggesting the continued partisan divides that are really preventing progress in a lot of areas from being made. Now, Congress does do some amazing things. There's been a lot of progress made, not only in the past year, but in your time in Washington, D.C., and we are extremely appreciative of that. But specifically for this, with the national conversations regarding police and regarding racial equity, what are you hearing from community activists and the law enforcement officials in your district regarding police reform? And what would you say is an appropriate measured response in light of everything that's happening?
Well, we all saw the video of George Floyd, one of our neighbors, Houstonian, buried in Pearland, Texas. Had this service in Pearland. You guys were great, by the way. Luke, you were awesome. I mean, that was atrocious. The cop had him in chokehold. He's saying through the knee on his throat, "I can't breathe. I can't breathe." He had him down for 9 minutes. We all saw the video. 3 cops watched it happen. Those guys are going to be punished. They should be. But they're an exception to the rule. Most cops are good people. So let's not throw out the bathwater for, just take a comment. Tim Scott's bill did all that. He eliminated chokeholds, which is very important. They don't need that. Mr. Floyd got the chokehold for writing a bad check. Lethal force for a bad check? I mean, come on. So no more chokeholds. It also stopped racial profiling, where basically some local police officers, because someone is brown-skinned, Hispanic, or dark-skinned, African-American, they're pulled over. 2 examples of that, when the George Floyd thing came out, a constituent called, he'd been on, black man, been on California, Beverly Hills a few years ago. He was pulled over 13 times in one day, just doing his business in Beverly Hills, California. Why? Because your skin was dark. I've got a personal story. My best buddy in the Navy, a guy named Gary Mays. It's a picture of Gary. You might see down there in his sleeve, he's got a 1-inch gold band. That means this man is an admiral in our Navy, an 07, a leader. He was out there in California a few years ago, got pulled over because he's a skin color. That's got to stop. That's called racial profiling. Tim Scott's bill did that, but as you mentioned, sadly, the Senate did not pass anything. They filibustered, and the House passed a bill that they wouldn't pass the Senate's muster. The Senate bill had the best chance. It was agreed to by our side, by some conservative Democrats who want Tim Scott's bill. President Trump said, "I get Tim's bill to my desk, it becomes law." And sadly, Chuck Schumer and the Democrats in the Senate blocked it. So we're keep going because this has got to stop. I mean, cops are great people overall, but what happened to Mr. Floyd, what happened to the woman out there, Prairie View A&M right here, it's got to stop. It's happening all across the country. But these riots too, just don't take your anger out on public citizens because something bad happened in your community. Just work the process, protest, vote, but don't go crazy and burn down restaurants or loot small businesses because, hey, I'm out here, this happened right here. That's wrong.
Yep, absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you for that, Congressman.
We want to move on to another question now. So, I mean, you were first elected in 2008. Some of our viewers might know that I had the privilege of working as an intern in your office in 2011. And wow, just since then, how tremendous.
Don't blame me. Don't blame me. You got involved in politics. No, Luke, it's not to blame. Your choice.
We'll have to talk offline there, but it's been incredible just since then, since working in your office in 2011, what the growth has looked like in Fort Bend County and Brazoria County. And like you said, a lot of that, it's been people coming here for better schools. It's been a tremendous amount of businesses coming here in search of a better life and a better economic climate. And so with that, there's also been a lot of change that's been brought to CD22, and many people nationally talking about our House district as being a preview of the changes that are going to be coming for a lot of the United States, with that being, an increasing amount of diversity, increased levels of education. And so kind of a two-part question. One, what do you think America can learn from the success of CD22? And secondly, you are the representative of one of the most diverse parts, perhaps even the most diverse part of the entire country. So what advice would you give to future leaders of places like House District 22 about how they can understand and advance the interests of such a broad variety of different people?
Okay, Luke, part one. I am so proud to work for the people in such a diverse district. Oh, by the way, Texas 22 is the most diverse district in the entire country. Oh, by the way, we're the largest in terms of population, approaching 1 million people. Most districts are around 720,000. We're way beyond that. And I tell people I'm so proud of that because I can't do this. But if a guy named George Washington, a guy named Thomas Jefferson, a guy named James Madison, a guy named James Monroe came back, Ben Franklin, came back from heaven and were asked, what part of America is your vision for what you want to create this country? They would say, it's Texas 22. It's diverse, neighbors live among neighbors, Hispanics, Black, Asians, Caucasians, Jews, Christian, Muslim, Hindus, Buddhists. They worship in their house of worship. They go to the same schools together. You don't know there's different ethnic groups there because they don't care about that. I love that. I'm so proud to represent those people. I mean, also one thing too is you mentioned what I would tell somebody running for office. I would say embrace this diversity. And if you're in DC, a congressperson, get your backside, your butts home every time you can. And engage. Don't be afraid because, for example, one radio station speaks in different languages than you speak. They'll translate your languages. For example, what is the #1 news station for news in Houston, Texas? Gina, you know what it is? Univision 45 is #1. They're #1 at 5 a.m., 6 a.m., 7 a.m., noon, 1 o'clock, 5 p.m., 6 p.m., 10 o'clock. Every English language station, channel 13, 26, 11 to 2, don't compare to channel 45. Why? Their audience is bilingual. 90% speak English and Spanish, but they like Spanish language TV news because that's how they grew up. I went there. I was the first Republican to go there, like ever. And it was kind of like being some sort of Yeti or something. They were just kind of poking me like, he's alive. He's breathing. And some colleagues are concerned, I don't speak Spanish, I'll get bamboozled or something. A, they translate, and B, they're pro-journalists. I went there right after President Obama did some things with DACA. Lots of anger from people, amnesty, whatever, all those talks that come out, you guys remember, and the border became, the crossings were just going berserk. And I went there expecting to have a real conversation, all the weeds of immigration, getting it all hot, emotions flowing. They were pros. We talked immigration. We talked about the Keystone XL pipeline, a pipeline coming with oil from Canada to our region here. We talked about North Korea. Issues, not issues that Hispanics care about because they're Hispanic Americans. Now, the question they played, the answer they played on immigration was just, I can't believe, Luke, they hammered me this badly. They had me saying in my voice, I've got good news about immigration. The White House, the House where I work, the Senate, the current system is broken and must be replaced. Nothing controversial. That's my point. And also,
right.
When you're at home too, tell them, get out there. I mean, every community has some celebration, like Cinco de Mayo, Fort Bend County, Andres there, La Cocina restaurant there in Richmond, Texas. Opens up, feeds food, has music, margaritas, tamales, and gives a lot. Half the money takes in that day goes to Meals on Wheels for senior citizens. Also, how about all sorts of Muslim, got the Eid holidays, lots of mosques around here. You've got Indian, Hindu holidays like Diwali, like the Holi. There's a BAPS temple in Stafford, that's an amazing temple. Go and engage. Asian Americans, hey, you like to have paddle boats, dragon boat races right here in Fort Bend County. Oh, we want to have big celebrations of Chinese New Year, firecrackers all over Texas, all over Brazoria County. Engage, 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 and be damn proud of our diversity, because I am. I mean, again, I tell you, we are what America should have been when our founding fathers created. They would love to see this part of America. They go, that's what I thought it was going to be, right there.
Absolutely. Thank you, Congressman. Yeah, I think we all share that pride, and really appreciate that sentiment.
I'm also trying, working with Sheila Jackson and Al Green, to have Juneteenth a national holiday. That's an African-American big holiday. That happened here in Texas. You guys know the history. Our slaves weren't free. War ended April 9th of 1865, surrendered Appomattox. Our slaves didn't find out it was over until June 19th of that year. 3 months of more slavery. And that's become the national celebration of the abolishment of slavery. Texas leads again, baby. Let's go make that Texas holiday a national holiday. Hopefully that'll get done, because that's something that's non-controversial.
Absolutely.
Absolutely, definitely. And one of the things that my wife and I that we love about our district, about the diversity, is whenever we lived in Japan for 8 months, we were just completely immersed in a different culture. And that's a part of our legacy now. It's a part of our family story for the rest of our lives. And now, living in such a diverse district, we're able to walk outside and walk into our neighborhood and experience different cultures, different opinions, different ways of life. And as we cultivate a community, not just within Manvel, but within Brazoria County and our state, when we cultivate a community that embraces differences and accepts people for their differences, I think it creates a beautiful society. And so, I'm proud. I am proud whenever I say that I live in Congressional District 22. And what we'll do now is we'll jump into the last question here. This is not going to be a hardball. This is going to be one of those, toss-ups for you, Congressman. But before I ask the last question that we have, we just want to take a moment and say thank you. Thank you for your years of service to our country. Thank you for your dedication to the district, your dedication to continue to fight for everyone's right for life, happiness, and just the pursuit of all things that make America, America. Getting to know you over these past few years, it's been one of the honors of my life. And you have left a truly an incredible legacy for our congressional district, and definitely some big shoes to fill. And then I know Luke wanted to say a few things as well before I ask the last question.
Yeah, I would just echo those same sentiments, Congressman. Much to your point, I'm so grateful to have the chance to get to know you, to work with you and learn from you. And I hope your successor in this race, whoever that may be, will be just as committed as you are to touching different parts of the district, to different communities in the district, and truly representing the incredible variety and strength that is House District 22. So I think we've been in a very good spot to have someone willing to do that, and really wish you the best of luck in everything that comes next.
Thank you, Luke. Thank you for those kind of words. But I just followed Gina's lead. What would Gina do? And 9 times out of 10, maybe 99 out of 10, it's the right thing. But thank you for those kind of words. One thing I tell people, I'm leaving Congress for sure, but I'm still going to serve the public as a private citizen. That means to help this chamber raise some money. I have limits now that I can call on. Those are all gone. So Gina, if you need me to raise a fundraiser, sign some letters.
I'll be calling you. I'll definitely
and also too, you guys in city councils or the chamber there, if somebody attacks you or says something stupid that you should be doing, or they get through, I can say, that is stupid as all heck. Shut your mouth, moron. I can't say that now. I'm happy to go to war for you and say, shut up. Pearland, Melvin, Manvel, Alvin, Brazoria County Chamber of Commerce, Hispanic are kicking some backside. Get out of the way and watch the magic happen.
That's right.
That leads in perfectly to the last question, because you've served 12 years in Congress. You've been traveling back and forth to DC just a ton. I can't even fathom how many miles you have underneath your belt from the traveling back and forth and throughout the district. And so now that you've chosen to retire and to leave leave DC, leave Congress, what do you see life looking like for you after Washington? And if you had to pick one thing that you haven't been able to do while being in Washington, that now you'll maybe have a little bit more time to go and do and experience, what would you say that is?
Great question. It's been an honor, first of all. 12 years in Congress, working for the best, most diverse, largest congressional district. Oh, by the way, the most educated per capita. We are by far and away, with people going to college, finishing high school. Again, we're number one in the state of Texas. And that's why I'm so proud to represent this district. My future is going to be, like I said, back here at home. I'm leaving office because of family. My wife has been such a stellar wife. Like your wife, we were married for 27 years. I drug her out to Hawaii for, well, 6 months. Then I disappeared for 6 months on a deployment. So she's out there by herself. Hawaii's okay, obviously, but you know. Then I came home. My squadron was going away because of Cold War cutdown. So I thought, man, this is great. We'll be in Hawaii without having to fly for a couple months, and we'll just enjoy Hawaii. I got back early November of 1994, was sent to report to Washington, D.C. before Christmas. So I pulled out saying, honey, I'm going to Washington, move our house, sell a car. I'll see you all the way across the country, Washington, D.C. And then she went through my time working in the Pentagon, on Capitol Hill, working for senators, and she's been a trooper. And her mom came and lived with us past year, a couple years from California. She had 2 strokes the past year, broke her hip. So, and she's been basically in quarantine now because someone in her little told popped up positive. So it's time for daddy to come home and take care of mommy and the family. But again, as I mentioned, I am all involved in this county. What makes it so great in this district? I mean, you guys are so awesome, Brazoria County. I mean, it's just, again, you're America. And, you know, one thing we should make sure, we should always interact with other people in the world like you guys do. Because my old boss, Phil Graham, said it best. If you want the world to be peaceful and free, that means you have to go overseas and invite people to come back to America. Once we have those bonds, all the hatred fades away. That means more trade. Hey, we talk about education. How about more kids coming to our schools? Our kids going to their schools? That's how I break this. I'm doing everything I can to make sure that Fort Bend County, Brazoria County, Harris County, Texas 22 remains the model for America. No ifs, ands, or buts.
There you go. There you go. That's it. Well, I know for my family and I'm sure I speak for many of the people that are watching through Zoom or Facebook, thank you. We'll definitely be praying for you, your family. I think you mentioned it was your mother-in-law who suffered the strokes. You guys will be in our prayers. And
thank you, dear. Thanks.
I look forward to seeing you still be active in the district and out and about. So just thank you. Thank you for your time today. Thank you for everybody that was watching, the Brazoria County Hispanic Chamber of Commerce and the young professionals. Thank you for hosting and putting on this event. And thank you to my moderator, my illustrious co-moderator here for participating and asking these questions.
Luke's played a World Series. Little inside, he's played a World Series in his lifetime, right, Luke? Lily World Series.
He was like, I don't talk about that much, Congressman. So, Luke, I don't know if you have anything that you want to add in closing it out.
That's it. No, great job, Dan. Thank you again, Congressman Olson, and we look forward to the months ahead.
Absolutely. All right. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in, and we'll see you out and about.
Thank you all. Adios.
Thank you.
Thank you.